Yes, people. Welcome back to Premsy TV. It's Premier League Unpacked, episode 11, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different for you guys today. I know it's Premier League Unpacked, but we're going to be looking and deep diving into the Champions League because, as we all know, Tom's a big City fan, and they've got a massive game coming up tomorrow. Liverpool are playing today, and I think it's only right to give this time to the Champions League because it's coming to the crunch time, people. How are we doing, Tom? You good?
I'm great, bro. I mean, I'm enjoying the football at the moment. It's stressing me out because there's a lot at stake, but I feel like almost every team is delivering at the moment. That City game with Real Madrid last week, the games over the weekend, Everton Chelsea game. There was just a lot of really good games of football, really like high energy. The whole situation with the Everton fans before that game over there, like there's just a lot of excitement around a lot of different competitions, whether it's for relegation, whether it's for the league title, Champions League, or in the actual Champions League. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking about the Champions League this week. And I think we've got a lot to get into. So, yeah,
No,
blessed to be
most
back.
definitely, man. Most definitely. I think it feels like it's been a long week in a sense for me. I'm not going to lie, bro. It feels like it's dragged a little bit, but it's got an important game today with Liverpool playing Villarreal, second
Mm.
leg. And then, obviously, like we just said, City and Real Madrid. I just wanted to maybe get your thoughts about that game. Obviously, I've not spoke to you since. We actually did a stream just before
Yeah.
the Real Madrid City game, finished it just beforehand, and we haven't had much time to catch up before, well,
No.
after that. So what was your thoughts on the game? Because for
Oh,
me,
man.
I think the scoreline kind of flattered Madrid in a sense, because I think City could have scored 6 or 7. What do you stand on the game? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, man. I mean, what a match. What a game. That was one of those games. I don't get to as many games anymore, obviously, living in London. I did
Mm,
think in the days running up to that game, oh, should I get a train ticket up and go to the game? I didn't in the end. I had bits of work on and stuff, but that was one of the first games in a while where I'm watching it at home, feeling like, oh, I wish I was in the stadium. Like this is one of them that you're meant to be there for. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? I've been blessed enough that I've not missed too many of those like historic games in recent City history, but that was one of those that will go down in the memory.
yeah.
Hopefully it'll go down in the memory as part of the story of the year that we first won the Champions League. That's still to be written, but yeah, it was mixed emotions. Like City, I think were incredible. 99% of the time in that game, I think they performed really well. I think they looked a class above Real Madrid pretty much throughout. But you know, the nature of the game and the kind of deadliness of Benzema in particular, but Benzema and the pace of Vinicius just meant that even for all of City's domination, and as you say, City should have won by 3 or 4 goals. That game City should have won that game so convincingly that they were going into this game all one and what should have done in terms of the balance of play, the chances created, but it didn't pan out that way. Benzema is just a machine. I mean, that goal
Mm,
was because it was Benzema. You see it happen and you think, oh, good goal. Oh, City, how did they cut us open so easily? And then you watch it again and you
yeah,
think, no, that's not normal that someone could just first time off quicked in, not really had a sniff all
yeah,
game, just straight into the corner, like redirect it, like he made it look so effortless. And then that's when I realized, okay, no matter how the balance of this game is going, at any given moment, Benzema could get the ball within 30 yards of goal and just do something where it's like, right,
yeah.
that's another goal for Real Madrid. And I think that that's going to make it challenging tomorrow night, but it's also good practice for if we do get Liverpool in the Champions League final, because that's kind of the sentiment I've been expressing about Liverpool in previous weeks a little bit, that like Liverpool have got that deadliness, they've got that firepower where oftentimes when they play City
Mm,
do dominate the game. Do you know what I mean? I know that in the last game where they beat us, it was a bit different, but even then, City often will dominate possession, will, have periods where we look like we're in control, but if you're a very direct and deadly team like Real Madrid, like Liverpool, and in a cup competition, then all it is one moment, one
yeah.
chance for one of these top strikers, and the game's
Well,
turned on its head.
like you say, Benzema, he's like a fine wine, in it. He just gets better with age, and it's a madness, bro.
What a
Because
player!
you got to think the damage he's caused in the Champions League this season. Like even
Oh,
prior to this game, he scored 2 hat tricks. Scoring 2 goals at Man City. It's not easy, bro. Like you said, he's just managed to get them goals. Well, the penalty is a penalty, but that goal that he scored, where he's just pulled back, obviously you can't teach that. You get me? That's just natural ability, and that's where I think maybe City may have an issue going to Bernabeu, because now they've got the tails up. They've just won the league. There's a buzz around the place with them, and they got Casemiro coming back into the team. They've lost the likes of Alaba, I'm hearing as well, which is going to be a blow to them at the back, because
even though he struggled in the last leg. To be fair,
but
I mean,
they're
Alaba is Alaba, but
they're a much better team with him, aren't they? Though, so it gives them a bit more.
At least there's an option.
Yeah, there's an option there, but so you got to think is with Real Madrid, they did so well to take it back to the Bernabeu with just a 1-goal disadvantage, because, like we said, the way I seen the game, City played them off the park. I think at times it was end to end, because it was just that kind of open style of football in certain sense, which was very exciting to watch. And best believe everyone's going to be tuned in tomorrow to watch it, because regardless if Real Madrid have not been the greatest over the years, like you said, they've still got a player. Yeah, they've still got players there like a Modric that will pick up the ball and spray a pass, and they've got players that can unlock it. But I think City will be too much for Real Madrid. I think it is going to be a tough test. So. I think it is not going to be as easy as people think. I think they will go there and they will score. I think Chelsea went there, scored a few goals as well. So it's not like it's impossible. It's not like it's a fortress. But I just feel like with the feel good factor with them winning the league and stuff, it might play an impact on this game. And I think that's just a little bit unfortunate. City's playing them just now after they've won the league and they've got the tails up a bit. But at the same time, they could have been getting pissed. They could have been under razzle. You get me? And it could have been the downfall in a sense. So we're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, my money's on City regardless. I think that even just watching that game, they outclassed them. And going into today's game with Liverpool, I feel like if Liverpool do the business, it'll only motivate City more to win that game, because the two teams are fighting pretty much on all fronts.
But it also applies more pressure on City to win that game, because as much as for City, it's about us winning it and it's not about stopping someone else from winning it. But it is going to hurt more, I think, for City if Liverpool win it than if, say, for example, Real Madrid win it.
Yeah, of course,
if
definitely.
City were to lose this set, if Liverpool were already to win their semi, which we expect that they will do, going into that game for City, you not only want to make sure that you're in that Champions League final, but you don't want to not be the team that has the chance of stopping Liverpool, if that makes sense. I know the players probably aren't thinking like that. That's more of a fans mentality. I'm sure Pep and the players are more focused than that, and are just focused on doing what they got to do. But at this point in the game, if we and who knows, maybe we're speaking too soon to brush off Emery and Villarreal, but let's kind of suggest that maybe it's in City league or the three that really seem like they could still be in with it. Liverpool and Real Madrid have both been there before and done it before. Do you know what I mean? For City, we're the only one left that's still fighting two competitions. We're fighting the actual competition of the Champions League and then the competition with ourselves of getting over that hurdle for the first time. Do you know what I mean? I think after that Arsenal final against Barcelona all of them years ago, and the red card and everything that happened in that game, but you could feel a sense of, as an Arsenal fan, I imagine, or at least for someone rooting for Arsenal, that feeling of, haven't done this before, so it adds an extra few bricks on the wall that you got to get over. Do you know what I mean? But like you say, if we can get past Real Madrid, that's one step closer. It's another boost to the confidence. I think just on a last thing on the Benzema note as well, I wonder if it's going to be interesting for Pep, having played in these two legs and seeing up close what Benzema is, and how that makes him think about this whole conversation about having an out-and-out striker in the City system or not, kind of thing. Because he's persisted this year again without like a recognised striker, and he could go on to win his league and prove that it's possible with that philosophy. But from the start of the season, there's been a lot of people, Gary Neville's fans, City fans even, that have maybe felt like it would seem so much more sure or certain if we had a Kane up front, a Haaland up front, Benzema up front. And you do wonder if Benzema was up front for City, and they were creating even 80% of the chances they create now, how many goals is that getting converted to? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what though? I feel like Haaland's going to probably come into City, so I think you won't have that problem, and I think they've already addressed that issue behind the scenes, and I think that's how City move. They go out and they get the players early. I think there's a lot of talk of Erling Haaland leaving. I think that's who City are going to go for. I think they went in for Harry Kane, didn't materialise, and they ain't willing to spend that kind of money on somebody who's of that age anymore. I don't think, even though he's a world-class striker, and to be fair, if Harry Kane was in Man City's team, it'd be a bit of a madness. But I was just thinking as well, maybe just don't knock City in a sense as well, or maybe as a fan you're a bit nervous. But because if you look at it, it's not like Pep Guardiola's never won the Champions League. It's not like he hasn't took City to the Champions League final, because he has.
True.
It's just about getting over that line. And at the end of the day, in these kinds of competitions, in a final, a one-off game, anything can happen. And like you said, it's about dealing with that pressure. I think with Man City being in a final now, and the best part of probably all of them players that are going to probably play in that final, if they get there, they've already had some experience in a final now, so they might be able to deal with that pressure a little bit better as well. Obviously, I hear what you're saying with Liverpool actually winning the trophy, and most of the team that's there is still there in a sense. So I do hear what you're saying. But I think with both teams, I think they're both world class. I think they both know how to deal with pressure. They both know how to handle big games. And I think they do both rise to the occasion as well. And because like we see in it, the Real Madrid City game, that could have just been one of them games where both managers were a little bit shaky, and he could have like closed up shop a little bit. But it was full intensity. It was a good game of football for a neutral to watch.
Do you think Pep going to the Bernabeu now with kind of things reset, a new game, out of the flow of the last game? Do you think he will approach the game like he did the first game and look for City to dominate, but for it to maybe potentially be quite open? Or do you think he'll be more interested in City controlling the pace, slowing it down, limiting Real Madrid to chances? Or can you not do that with the deadliness that they've got up front? And do you have to kind of go out there to try and outscore them again at the Bernabeu?
See, I think City's probably one of the best teams that there is out there on knowing how to manage a game of football. And I think they've got to use that in their advantage, because as we all know, Real Madrid at the moment, they're not a world-class football team. Like, they are not the Real Madrid that they were once 5-6 years ago. And that is just facts. At the moment, clearly, Liverpool, Man City, the two best teams in the world right now. And I think nobody can really argue that. So I think what City should, well, personally, this is what I think they should do, whether Pep will do it or not, because, it's unpredictable, some of these managers in these big games, because otherwise we would probably be managers, you know what I'm saying, bro? Yeah. But I feel like they should use their game management to the best of their ability and manage the game well in senses, in certain sections of the game, go full throttle, but best part of the game, try to manage Real Madrid, try to watch the runners in behind. And let me tell you now, they can't have a Fernandinho dropping in at right back, because that's going to be a madness, fam. Okay, even though he played well, I'm not saying he didn't play well, but just the age and the pace, that could have an issue. Sorry, I think you froze a little bit.
Let's talk about that though, because I know that Fernandinho Vinicius moment was like a moment that was taken from it, especially from like those kind of like international Real Madrid fans that are like all internet that love to just make flipping the million Cristiano Ronaldo videos and all sorts, you know what I mean? And that video straight away after the game, I seen that in more places than anything else, was Vinicius knocking it past Fernandinho. But what a lot of people weren't noticing was the goal that City scored just before that Fernandinho crossed the ball in for. That whole moment started with a very similar situation where the ball got played into Vinicius on the wing, and Fernandinho commits and goes early and gets there in front of Vinicius, and then breaks down the line, crosses it in, and City score. Then a few minutes later, Fernandinho goes again with the same kind of tactic of trying to get up close to him and intercept him, and Vinicius knocks it past him, and we know what happens after that. But I think outside of that moment, I think Fernandinho dealt with him well on that side. And, like I say, I think it balances a little bit the goal that he conceded. Just before that, he'd created pretty much single-handedly that goal from a similar scenario. So I weren't taking it as harshly as everyone else was, that kind of just seemed to look at that bit and not remember the assist that led to the goal just beforehand. But with that being said, I just literally, while we were on the stream, then seeing a little bit of news pop up about Kyle Walker, City getting a boost with him training today ahead of the Real Madrid game. If Kyle Walker is back in at right back, I will breathe a sigh of relief, because Kyle Walker defensively is probably the defender, maybe even over Diaz, that gives me confidence when he's
He
in
can
his
recover
position.
anything, can't he?
He's incredible. He's so defensively solid. You know what I mean? He can recover anything. He can neutralize that pace of Vinicius. It means that Real Madrid have to think differently about how they approach their attacks down that side and elsewhere. Like, so if we've got him back, that huge boost. Not least because it means that if Fernandinho is coming on, he's coming on into a defensive midfield role and offering us something there, and maybe stopping those balls getting into Benzema's feet, or
Yeah, because that's what I would say. Sorry to interrupt him. That's what I would say. Like, I would rather have. I wouldn't play him as a right back, even if that's the only position you can fit him in, because obviously he's an experienced player. He's been there. He's done it. He's seen it. He's a very composed player, and as we've seen, like you said, for the goal, he knows how to make decisions, right? But you got to face facts in the sense of he's getting on a bit now, and he hasn't got the legs that he did once have. And I believe that Real Madrid would target that massively. And you got to think, if I'm just a normal person thinking that, get me, they must be definitely thinking that if they look at that as a no, I know.
To put him there. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know. But I mean, like in this kind of game now, like the management has to be so key. You have to kind every move that you make is not like there's any room for error. So it's got to be massive. And I think if we did start seeing like I said, if Kyle Walker came back into that right back spot, there's going to be no issue in a sense. And the reason I say that, because he's probably one of the best people I've seen at recovering the ball, bro. 100%. And obviously in that position, if that was Walker rather than Fernandinho, I don't know. Cancelo's quality as well, but Vinicius is rapid, ain't he?
Exactly.
I'd rather have Walker there.
As in Fernandinho, Walker in there instead of Fernandinho or Cancelo, because actually, you know, when Cancelo had started him at right back, and Vinicius was still causing problems down that side. So I'm agreeing with you that actually Walker is a massive difference to either of those other two, because of that quality that he brings in terms of pace, in terms of just solidity defensively. But I don't think there would ever be a situation where Pep's going into a game starting with Fernandinho at right back unless we're in a position where we're overly stretched injuries wise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Because maybe it might not even just be just that, but I think like with City, I think overall they're going to have to look at what they may have, how they may have conceded their goals, and they need to work on that, because it's going to be one of them games where the crowd is going to play a massive part as well, bro.
The ball towards the net.
Yeah, it's true. It's going to be a massive part. And as well, like you said, is in these kind of games, there is a bit of pressure in it. Obviously, I still think City will overcome the pressure. I honestly do. I believe that is going to be a City-Liverpool final. Obviously, depending on what Liverpool are going to do today, I can see them easy steamrolling over Villarreal. I was pretty disappointed, to be fair, in Villarreal. I thought they would put up a bit more of a better fight. Because obviously I know they ain't got no world beaters as in the team, but Emery's got them gelled. He's got a good philosophy going on over there. You know, just won the Europa League, and I would have thought that they would have put a bit more of a fight up. But football, you never know what happens. Champions League football, they might come back and beat Liverpool 3-2 and knock them out. I can't see it, but I can just see it going into a Liverpool and City final, Tom. And if it does go into a Liverpool City final, where would your head be at? Where would your emotions be at going into that final there? Would you be confident? Would you feel nervous in the sense that if we lose to this Liverpool team now in this final, the net going into the following season, it's going to play a massive mentality impact on the players? Where do you stand with it?
I just seen that comment as well by Crypto Nerd. We'll come back to that about Arsenal Fernandinho. I've said a few times in the last couple of weeks that I feel like there's an added pressure that comes with not only the fact that we're going head to head with Liverpool in these kind of last end of season moments, but the fact that if they come out on top on all fronts, or 3 out of 4 fronts, you know, I kind of explained last week that to me it threatens more than just City's season. It threatens place as the kind of top dog of this era. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of this period, as Pep as the top manager, the top dog of this era. And again, I don't think the players will be thinking about that. I think that's probably more of a fans thing. But that has added an extra level of an extra dynamic to me and an extra level of pressure and just nerves because it's making me like it's a bit like when we were first trying to win the Premier League that season with the QPR game on the last day of the season, and it was between us and United. And the fact that it was not only me really wanting us to do it, but really wanting them not to do it or not to do it to us in that way. Do you know what I mean? That game at the end of the season, the shift in emotions wasn't just that we went from losing and we weren't going to win the league to winning and we won the league. It was we went from losing, we weren't going to win the league, and United were going to win the league, to us winning, we've won the league, United haven't won. So it was that dynamic of we also really don't want them to win it. And Liverpool are now working themselves for their own reasons into that space for me where like I really don't want them to to win the quadruple. I really don't want them to win the league. I don't want them to win the Champions League. Whilst also obviously wanting City to go out and win them trophies. So it's like adds a level of desire and kind of nerves to the situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because look, it's going to be one of them situations. What I think City can only win the double now, isn't it? If they win the Premier League and the Champions League,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a strong double, isn't it?
No, this is what I'm trying to say, which is a strong double. And then if they win that, that's a very good season. But then at the same time, within a matter of days and a matter of a few games, it could be a terrible season if Liverpool win the quadruple. And I feel like that's going to take some coming back from if that was the case. I can't see it happening. I'll be honest with you. I think if it does happen, it's an absolute massive achievement, best achievement in football from any English club, because you got to take your hat off to him and give them the props they deserve. Because I think with Liverpool at times as well, a lot of people have been a bit skeptical with them, and they probably didn't like Liverpool to give them any credit, because I've seen it down here, and obviously that's probably me being from Manchester and everyone hating probably Liverpool down here. But it's one of them situations that they got a fantastic manager, fantastic squad. They've got brilliant squad depth now, and they can take it to any team in the world. We've seen them take it to Man City, who for me has always been just a little bit above Liverpool, but now I'll be honest, they're on a level playing field in my mind. I feel like they're both just as good as each other. Both managers are great. And I think I want to see both teams in the final so we can see fireworks. It's great for a neutral fan. I won't say it'll be great for you, Tom, but I'll be on your side. I'll be backing you. So
I was saying to Will the other day, my brother, because we've already got train tickets to Paris for the night of the game. So obviously plan being that if we get there, we'll get tickets by one way or another. But I was saying to him, like, if we go and we're playing Villarreal, I'll be going relaxed. I'll just be going for the experience. Like, I'm going to a Champions League final. We're going to Paris, playing against the Spanish team. Like, if we're playing against Liverpool, the whole experience, unless we get to the end and win, will be like painful. Do you know what I mean? There'll be bloody Liverpool on the thing, flipping that, and then if you lose, you've got to be in amongst them, getting back to different. It's a different experience. So I was kind of just hoping that Villarreal would do something, and I could just relax a little bit on the whole thing with the Champions League. But I just can't see it happening. Emery's a good manager. They're a good side, but I think they would have had to have somehow come out of that first game with a 0-0 draw to even really game with a Tom is shrinking my dislike of City. Okay,
get cool. Me. You're getting some fans on board, fam. You get me.
I like
getting some opinions changed and flipped, which is a good sign.
I love it. Big up Crypto Nerd, man. Every week we appreciate you in the comments, definitely. On that note, what do you think of earlier about would you take Fernandinho at Arsenal for a season?
Personally, I wouldn't now. I wouldn't take him now. Do you know why I wouldn't take him? Because I feel like I don't want a player that's just going to come in for one season now. I want something to build on. And I think if we do that, we're just getting back into old habits. I'm not saying he hasn't been a great player and he wouldn't come in and do the job, because I believe he would. But I just feel like it's time for us to know what kind of players to bring in and now and when. And I think that's probably perfect just to move on to the next topic, really, because I wanted to ask you as well, and what I wanted to dive into a bit is, if Arsenal do make this Champions League place,
Yeah.
which is likely now because it is in our hands to throw away. We've seen us fuck up many times before, so it won't surprise me, bro, if we throw it away. Like I said to you before, but we've got to be fucking dumb to throw it away now.
Yeah,
You get me, bro?
it's touching distance.
Yeah, if we go and if we beat Leeds at home, which we should be doing, I know they're in a relegation battle, Tom, and now it's a bit more stickier for them, yeah, because of the last result they just had, and Everton winning and stuff.
Yeah,
But we should be turning over Leeds, bro.
got that.
Everton, not Everton, Liverpool should be definitely beating Spurs and doing us a favour, bro, because they're in the no, but realistically, when you think about it, they're going for the title. They're a better team than them. Is at
Yeah,
Anfield. They should beat them. So
that's
if
what
we
should
go,
happen. You're right.
that's what should happen. You get me? So
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
go in to that game, North London derby, 5 points clear, bro. You get
It's
me?
different.
Then with a
You can
couple
toy
games to
with them.
go, with a couple games to go,
Yeah,
bro, it's
yeah.
ridiculous. So
That'd be a
I
good
just
feeling.
but what I want to know is, and I want your thoughts on this, being from an outside perspective, being a City fan, if this Arsenal team with this manager got 4th spot, do you think we will cope in the Champions League and be able to cope in the Premier League? So that's 2 games of high intensity a week. Do you reckon this manager and this squad of players will be able to cope with it? And do you think we will get far in the Champions League?
I think this set of players without any additions, no way. Like we've already spoke about, even just getting through to the end of this season, getting through from the transfer window to the end of the season, you were worried about the fitness of the squad, just dealing with Premier League games and a running, fighting for 4th. So I think that's kind of obvious that that without adding, just on a level of depth, never mind in terms of adding quality, I think that's a necessity. Now, this current core kind of skeleton of a team you've got there and the current manager, if they add correctly, do I think that they could do okay or do well in the Champions League and have another solid season next year? Yeah, I do think they can. I think the potential is there for the squad. I disagree with the Fernandinho take. Oh, completely. I agree with you in terms of Arsenal having to be clear on, who is the guy that we want being that person in that position for the next 6 years for us and competing and being one of the best in the league at doing that. That is important, but I think that ideally Arsenal need to go out and do both. They need to, if they don't already have a player in defensive midfield that they feel like can be that guy, then they need to go out and buy one. Or if they feel like Partey, for example, could be your equivalent to a Fernandinho, a different style of player, but that kind of similar person within the system, then I think having a Fernandinho there season, like City had Patrick Vieira for a season or so, players that came in and not only brought in some quality, some experience on the pitch, but also brought in experience, quality and knowledge of the game into the training ground. Now Partey is training with Fernandinho. Fernandinho's putting him onto game. He's helping to kind of mentor him in that role, whilst also being there and being able to come on and bring a certain mature level to a game when he comes on with 20 minutes to go, when he slows things down. And I think Arsenal need that as well in a young the next 5 years. And I think they've got the money. I don't think it's unrealistic that Arsenal could, if Fernandinho would be willing, which I don't think he would be interested, but I think if Arsenal could afford to take on Fernandinho and go out and buy, 3-4 proper big signings that add real quality in positions of the pitch where they need it. I think they could afford to take a Fernandinho on alongside that, just to add to the experience, and someone who's won and done it at the top level. Do you know what I mean? He's not won the Champions League yet, but if he was to get that this season as well, then you're taking on someone that's got experience of winning all of the trophies in England, as well as being a top player. I think that's, if you can afford to do that without it meaning you can't go out and get Lautaro Martinez or something. If it's not an either or, then I would always take that Fernandinho, that experienced player, whilst you're still trying to build the
Tom,
team.
I hear what you're saying, bro. Like, I do hear what you're saying. I think the problem is with the Fernandinho, like I said, he's only going to give us that one season. You get me? Like, even if, like, I agree with you 100%, we need that experience in there. Don't doubt it. But we need a player that's going to give us at least 3 years. Like, for example, if we got a Kante, he's a player that could still give you another 3 years. And in that time, that would be able to give us, because we don't want, well, to be honest, I don't want to be a retirement home anymore, Tom. Like we've done it time and time again. We've brought players in like Willian, other players of experience that have worked at other clubs,
That
and it
wasn't
just doesn't.
Fernandinho though.
No, I
Willian
know,
ain't
Tom. But
Fernandinho. Fernandinho
Fernandinho
might be
is
the
not
best
gonna. But
defensive midfielder we've seen in
Fernandinho is
Premier
not
League
gonna move
history.
to Arsenal with the same hunger he had when he moved to City, is he?
No, but what I'm saying is you are taking, like, people recently, Jamie Redknapp was on TV saying he thinks he's the best defensive midfielder in Premier League history. Like, we're not talking about a winger, a defensive midfielder. We're talking about arguably the best in that position in the history of the Premier League, up there with these giants, these Makalelis, these Vieiras, in right. That's not Willian. Do you know what I mean? That's someone who, even if they're there
No,
for a
but you
year
got to
and they don't
understand
play
though,
a game,
Willian. But what I'm saying, Tom, is you got to, like I say, Willian. He was in the Premier League for a number of years. He won a number of stuff with Chelsea. He went off coming off his best season that he had for Chelsea. We brought him. So, as a normal person, probably think 9 out of 10, he should give some sort of quality or add something to the team in
but
it,
that's
because
the quality. That's the quality side. What I was saying was what you get with Fernandinho, which is of another level when it's someone of that caliber, is that even if he came for a year and he never played a minute on the pitch, the value of what that is to
oh
you
yeah, we
molding
can't afford that,
Partey.
Tom. You've just been living in the big bucks for time, bro. We can't afford that, bro. We can't
Arsenal can
afford a man on the
afford that.
bench. Trust me, man.
Arsenal
We
can
can't
afford
afford.
that. No, they
Nah,
can
man.
afford it. They
No, they
won't
need to
spend on
not.
it, but they can afford it.
Yeah, but this is the problem though. Like they can afford it. They won't spend it, like you said. But the problem is, if we was to do that, like you said, is if it come to a Lautaro Martinez for an extra 10 mil, they'll just yard it off, because that's just unfortunate, the position that we're in as fans, because we know the guys that are running the clubs are they ain't really with it in a certain sense.
But that's an error of judgment from the
But
owners if they're
I
not willing
just
to do that.
I hear, bro. I fully hear what you're saying with Fernandinho. I don't disrespect him in any regard. I think he's a
But if it's either
top
or,
player.
I agree.
I just feel like right now we're at a place where we do need that experience. And like I said, is if it was nobody or Fernandinho, yeah, I'd take him. But we need to have somebody for like at least a 3 year period where they can grow with the team, develop, and then if we get close, say for example this season or next season to something, they can help then develop that team and push on for the following season. Not someone that's just going to get off. And does that make sense? And I think that's just where we're at. And I think the next couple of buys that Arsenal make are going to be massive, bro. Because if, like I said, if we do make this Champions League spot, we've got 2 games a week that are going to be of high caliber games. And whether we can stick and cope with that pressure is another thing. Because when we were in the Europa League and we end up finishing 8th, because towards the back end of the season, it was more, right, we're going to focus on the Europa League rather than the Premier League. And that didn't quite work out well. So I feel like the next couple buys that we buy, and I've heard someone on I think it was Gary Neville maybe saying it, is going to be massive for Arsenal. And I agree 100%, Tom.
Definitely.
110, my dog. But yeah,
no,
who else?
I mean, I think I definitely agree. I think the only thing with the Europa League is that because Europa League, in a way, oftentimes, especially if you're a big club like Arsenal, a club that's been in the Champions League before and is aiming to be in the Champions League, the Europa League becomes almost like just a distraction and a drain, because you try and get up for it. Do you know what I mean? The fans try and get up for a quarter-final leg against flipping something, but you're not really like being charged up and filled again energetically with, like, for City, it's exhausting being in the Champions League, but every time you progress, there's a high that comes from that. You're one step closer to doing something. Do you know what I mean? Yes, if Arsenal went on a good run and got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, that's going to put a drain on the resources that they have for the Premier League. But in terms of confidence, in terms of belief, in terms of some of the other stuff that then carries back over into the Premier League, I think that's different to when you're in the Europa League. Beating Midtjylland in the Europa League doesn't then make you feel like we can go in and beat City on the weekend. But when you beat Real Madrid on a Tuesday and then you got City on the weekend, sometimes that's enough for the players to really be going in feeling like, yes, we deserve to be in these conversations and operating at this level. So I think it can be a drain, but I think it's a bit different with the Champions League to the Europa. And I think you've got a younger core to the team now. And like you said, maybe the players that you add have to be players that have got minutes in them. Do you know what I mean? Players that can, if they need to, play 2-3 games a week. Do you know what I mean? But then the depth that if that player isn't available, that player needs resting, that player gets injured, you've got someone else that can come in. Arsenal need to it's not just going to be 3 or 4 signings that's going to add the depth that Arsenal need, in my opinion. I think they need 7 or 8 signings, of which 3 or 4 are these Lautaro Martinez or I'm trying to think who else. Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, because that looks like it's on the cards.
Ever the big name kind of signings that are going to cost money on the transfer, are going to cost money on the wages, but also are going to be long-term investments, you know, kind of elite in their category. And then there needs to be another 4, 5 that come in my opinion, that are either experienced players that have done it before at that level, like a Fernandinho, that maybe come and give you in terms of total minutes, 6-7 games in the season, but they bring experience to the dressing room, they bring experience to the training ground, and they can bring you something very specific maybe, but still bring you something when you need it at certain moments in the season. Maybe one of those other 4 is, Ivan Toney's probably out of that category now, but a player that's not quite proven at the level.
I would say, like a Basuma.
Someone who
see like him, because I'd take him.
There you go, Basuma, exactly. Who doesn't have to break the bank, but at the same time is another addition and has potential to grow and be something. Do you know what I mean? I think we need 6, 7, 8 of those kind of additions, and then Arsenal could really be like, right, we've got the squad depth now and quality and options for Arteta to really get an opportunity to show what he's made of. Because it will be interesting to see what happens if Arteta has the squad able to come off these last 2 games that Arsenal have had and then go into the next game, and if they need to switch something out or change slightly, tactics wise, when you go in away to Brighton, put on a different player because he has options, as opposed to like I'm having to work with maybe 11, 12, 13 players max, and putting guys like Xhaka at left back, like the whole Fernandinho right back situation before. Like, you don't want to be in them situations often if you're trying to compete on multiple fronts. So
no, most definitely, Tom. I just want to answer this question.
I feel like Isco's a worse move than a Fernandinho. That's more what you were talking about. At least Fernandinho's provenly done it. Isco's
I just had to check then as well. He's 30 years old as well, and they're just players. They're just players that we can't be having, bro. Like, if we're aiming, like, I agree. Look, right now, I agree with you, Tom, in a lot of what you're saying. If we could afford to have a Fernandinho for a year to come in, guide a Basuma and all that, fantastic. But I just don't feel like we're a club that run like that. I don't think they're smart enough to do something like that. But going into midfield, Thomas Partey could be a box-to-box midfielder, and I think he will work best with a number 6 sitting. Now, Basuma, he's been in a team with Brighton. He played probably for me one of the best football in the league, bro, Tom. Their football is so attractive, and he's a key focal point of that because he does his job perfectly. And I would say he's an Arsenal fan. He's got the Premier League experience, and he's been consistent over a couple seasons now in the Premier League. And that's a player who could come in and start really finding his feet, and it would add quality to our team. And I feel like if we get a few players like that, get in a Jesus, get in a Martinez, obviously that might be dreaming, but then I really think that we can. I wouldn't. You know what? If I would bring him in as squad depth, because I've seen over the years that he's a great footballer. And to be fair, like you said, as long as he ain't breaking the bank, bro. If he's breaking the bank, then I won't take him because the way our model is running at the moment, bro, we can't afford to take players that are gonna be falling off very soon with high wages before they come, get their paycheck, and then they're happy just to chill on the bench, and that ain't something we can deal with anymore. So for me, I think that, like I said, Tom, the next 5-6 signings that are going to come into the window, they've got to be vital. And you got to remember as well, players like Guendouzi, Torreira, you got Bellerin. I've got a lot of players that are out on loan as well that are probably going to go. We haven't replaced players. So you're going to see players coming in. You got Lacazette's going, Eddie Nketiah's going. So we're back down to bare bones. If this manager and these people running the club don't believe that we need good backing in the summer, a good number of top talent coming in, mixed with experience, we ain't going to have no hope in the Champions League. We'll end up going there, getting absolutely slapped up week in, week out, coming to the Premier League, getting slapped up, and then not even making the Champions League again. Then we'll just be back to square one. So this is now where they need to step up and focus, bro. But yeah, I just want to get your prediction, Tom. I know I'm cutting back, but just on tomorrow's game and today's game with Liverpool cutting back into the Champions League, I want to get your prediction on both games and how you think it's going to pan out.
I'm reluctant to even predict, bro. I'm reluctant to even say because I feel like it's me just getting more and more invested. I mean, I was actually enjoying just talking about Arsenal because it took my mind off the pressure. I think Liverpool will win again tonight. Not just overall, but I think they'll win the game. I think they'll win 2-1 or 3-1 and go through convincingly. And I think City will draw at the Bernabeu but go through.
That's what I think. I think it's going to be a 2-2 game at the Bernabeu. I just have a feeling it's going to be fireworks. And I feel like the atmosphere is going to, like I said, is going to play a massive part because Real Madrid have to come and attack. They can't just sit there. They're losing. So it's going to cause space. Either City are going to capitalise, annihilate them, or it's going to be Real Madrid get an early goal and then it's going to be one of them games. Yeah.
I mean, I think the fact that Real Madrid to like win in normal time will need to score 2 gives you a little bit of comfort. Like it's not like we can just get caught slipping and then be struggling to break them down and then it's over. But I think if it goes to extra time, I'm gonna be more and more feeling like Real Madrid will turn us over and do it. I think City need to get it done in the 90 minutes. I think City need to score first if possible. I think if City can go out there with intensity, with pressure, with courage, and get a goal in the first half, whether we go ahead or just get a goal, but if we score in the first half one way or another, and they either don't score or only score 1, I think if you can get into half time, having broken the deadlock and already 1 goal up from the last game, I think we'll have what it needs to see them out in the second half. But if we go in and they score, 1 or 2, God forbid, it can unravel quickly because then all of the shit we've been talking about just starts to filter through a little bit into the front of the mind. You know what I mean? Oh my God, are we gonna throw away our chance again? You know what I mean? Are we gonna miss our opportunity?
I feel like this man here as well, Benzema, he's gonna be one of them players in the game where you can't take your eyes off for a minute because as we've seen, someone's mentioned here, he's a sniper. You get me, man's a killer, bro.
Super sniper.
It's just as soon as he gets one chance, it's going in the back of the net. And I think that the City defense is going to be on that. I think obviously they're not going to be oblivious to that. And it's just whether they can contain him at all. Because if they can contain Benzema, then obviously he's more or less their focal point. He's the guy who gets their goals in their big games. If they can contain him, then I think they'll be all right. But
and they look so bad defensively. Like they look like Everton defensively. Maybe that's an Ancelotti thing, but they looked woeful at the back. I don't know who that guy is. One of their centre backs looked like he'd come straight from League One.
That's Milito you're talking about, I think.
Probably
Milito. You know what though? He went there with a lot of promise. To be fair, I think he came from Porto.
It was lies.
Eder Milito.
It was a lying promise. He looks terrible. And Alaba looked terrible, so we might be. I mean, and Nacho didn't look that great when he came on. It was only really those forward few players. Modric still showed moments of his class, and Benzema.
But you could tell he's getting old, though. Modric now. Towards the end of the game, his legs were fully gone. Yeah, fully.
City might just overpower him a bit.
Detect a bit of nervousness.
Everyone is like trying to lift me up. I love it, like affirming the City you're gonna do it. But it's the City that those years of like not being who we are today and throwing stuff away and things going against us. They rest hard in your skin. Do you know what I mean? And in moments like this, you start to feel it coming out again. You start to just suspect that it won't go your way. So yeah, I appreciate everyone trying to charge me up a little bit, but I think I'll feel that game kicks off and I'm reminded who we are and how we play and just trust the process.
You just can't concede early, Tom. That's it. I'm telling you, if you concede early, then start shitting yourself because that's where it's going to then become ugly and difficult because maybe the atmosphere can change a game. The players will be up for it and you look the 1-0 down. I still think City will overdo it. I don't think they will concede early, But I think they just got to contain that early threat, to be honest with you. I just want to ask you your opinion quickly before we wrap it up, Tom, on Tielemans. Because I'm a bit on the fence with Tielemans. I see him do some wonderful things, and then when I see him in a game for a full 90 minutes, because obviously I'm not going to lie, I don't watch all of Leicester's games, just the odd game here and there, I'm not so convinced by his overall performance.
I think Arsenal need to add mobile, dynamic kind of players. I mean, I think, it might maybe a bit harsh saying that Tielemans is just slow, because he also has that class, can slow the game down and make slow look fast and make slow look effective and beat players and do things. But I think Arsenal have got a lot of those kind of players. Do you know what I mean? That's been one of the knocks on Xhaka in a way, outside of his temperament, is that for all he has got a lot of quality when he's on the ball, that lacking that yard of pace, it not only puts him in positions where he's, doing stuff that's reckless, but it also means that Arsenal can get opened up sometimes. And I think this young, energetic kind of team and attack that Arsenal are kind of almost building backwards from, I think they need a lot. They need to maintain an element of that throughout the team. Do you know what I mean? So if they can get a player in there that has that creative kind of aspect that Tielemans has, but has that dynamism that Amares has, that Bernardo Silva has, where they're still covering ground, they're still bringing pace and kind of explosiveness to Arsenal in defence and going forwards, it's going to be a better look than adding more kind of slow, Ozil-ish kind of type players. It's a big pitch at the Emirates as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes them players, when it's not working, it shows on the Emirates pitch, because you see how slowly they're covering the ground.
And you got to think how much water's getting sprayed on them pitches now. Everything's moving fast. You get that ball's moving quick, bro. You better get them extra 1-2 digits up when you're on that treadmill. You get me?
100%.
But just two questions, Tom, that kind of tie into each other. I just wanted to ask you. Big up, love from Canada. We see we're getting watch from Canada.
We need to get out to Toronto.
I know, man. I want to get to Vancouver and that. I'm hearing it's a mad thing over there, yo. I want to go Vancouver. But yeah, I just want to ask you this here, Tom. Southwest has said, do you feel that you could go on to beat Liverpool in the final? Because obviously they're a different animal to Chelsea, and you guys obviously lost to Chelsea when you got to the final. So how do you think it will pan out? Do you just have that confidence where, you can get over the line and just straight up 50-50?
I don't have confidence. I think Liverpool, having been there before and done it, does give them a certain type of advantage. I think City are still the better side. I think Liverpool have done amazing things this season, and on their day are unplayable. But I think in terms of consistency, I think what City do is the cream that rises to the top a lot of the time, and that's why, at this point in the season, at least it seems City kind of just about edging it in the league, where there's so many games and you get the chance to see kind of over time, like I say, that cream to rise. But my nerves come from Liverpool having been there before, and just like the kind of the unpredictability of just Liverpool's attack. But I also think that them getting the better of us in the FA Cup maybe won't be the worst thing. I think sometimes with these big clubs, when they go head to head, there almost has to be a certain amount of times that each one wins. Do you know what I mean? City aren't going to beat Liverpool 5 games in a row. Do you know what I mean? If they play each other enough in a season, they're both going to win, because there's going to be a time where one manager gets something right that the other one hasn't seen or hasn't suspected. So part of me, and this is
sorry, Tom, you're just breaking up a little bit. I didn't quite hear that. I just thought it broke up a little bit. Sorry.
You lost all of that?
Yeah, I lost about a bit of it. I do apologize. So.
Okay. No, it's all good. I just was saying that oh man, it's thrown my
right, you know what? Before you do, if I've thrown you off, I just you know what? This just probably hits the hammer on the nail. This comment from Arsenal Manic, which is City versus Liverpool at the same level. It's just whoever's better on the night. Simple as that. I feel like going into the final, if they both make it into the final, based off this season, it's 50-50, bro. Yeah, and I think that is probably as fair as you can get. I'm not talking about last seasons that gone. just
Yeah.
where they are right now. And you can arguably say if Liverpool go on and beat City, obviously they're a better team this season, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's in swings and roundabouts, people. But yeah, normally,
City
hopefully
don't make the
Arsenal could
final.
get there one day, people. Man, I fucking hate speaking about City and
Yeah.
Liverpool and all these other teams getting to Champions League finals. And bro, look, we've only got there once, man. Hopefully we
Yeah.
can join
Be
you
back.
boys up there next season,
Yeah.
and we could take it from there. But people,
Semi-final. Arsenal next
semi-final,
season. You
man.
heard it here first.
Nah,
Arsenal
hopefully we can.
semi-final of the Champions League next
Yo,
year.
if we do that, Tom, I'm telling you, I'll take you on holiday, fam.
Let's go.
I'll take you. We'll go watch it. I'm telling you.
Straight to
But
Russia.
straight to Russia.
That's where it was meant to be this year, wasn't it?
Ah, you're mad,
Let's
man.
move it.
Where have
Let's
they
move
moved it to?
They moved it to Paris, but it was meant to be in Russia this
Oh,
year. So maybe they'll try
not-
bounce it back next year.
That's not far, man. But people, man, make sure you're liking and subscribing and help us push out this content and grow
100%.
the channel with us. But people will be back next week, same time, Tuesday, 6:30. We're going to try to bring it a little bit early now because obviously as we're new to this, we've been trying to juggle the times around and find the best time to do it. And obviously at the start, we kind of messed up a little bit with getting it clashed with the Champions League games as well.
Yep.
So yeah, we're back next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Peace and love, people. There's anything you want to add, Tom, before we go?
No, man. Let's all hope for the best with City tomorrow night. Come on, video. You can do it. And
we wish you luck, Tom. We wish you luck, my brother. We wish you luck.
Have a blessed week, everybody.
Peace
Blessed
out,
everyone
people.
in the comments. Love.